I pulled up. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm looking at. All right. So bls.gov/CPI is where the actual CPI data report is going to be released, and then we should see the market react. So as of right now, NASDAQ market is down slightly. Pretty much break even as of right now for this pre-market session. And then the next minute, right, we have 45 seconds until the CPI data report is released. I want to remind you, right, if you're a beginner and you're someone that has never experienced this before, remember, today is a pretty risky day to trade because of the volatility that might present itself. So maybe today, right, it just depends on how disciplined you want to be. At the end of the day, you get to decide what you do. For myself, I'm focusing on one thing, and I want to see market direction. So if it sells off, then I'll go into SQQQ. If it begins to rise, I'll go into TQQQ. But we'll have to wait and see. And here it goes. We have 10 seconds left. 10 seconds. Let's see it. So CPI data report, the CPI expectation is 3.6%. Let's see which way we go. And we are dropping. Look at that. What did we come in at? Rose 0.6%. So all items increased to 3.7%. So 3.7%. We have SQQQ rising. We're up 1.62% during the pre-market session. You guys see this? So we're at 1872. Here we go. That is in favor of the bears, but it looks like it's correcting itself. So I don't know if I'm sold on the idea that this thing is going to continue to go up. It did come in a little bit higher than what was expected. So let's go ahead and refresh this. So CPI data report coming in at 3.7%. So all items index increased 3.7%. And then core CPI came in at 5.6%. So let's see what investing.com. Yep, 3.7% coming in with a forecast of 3.6%. So inflation coming in higher than what was expected. So this is why we are seeing the NASDAQ market sell off a little bit right now. 1.7%, 1.7. Let's see if this continues. Okay. See if we can get into this. Bears win today. As of right now, it looks like it is going to be a day for the Bears. But remember, the CPI data reports, the market can choose one direction, and then it can quickly change shortly after. So just something to take into consideration where we can't be too confident. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with 500 shares. I'm going to turn on my EXT just to make sure that I get filled, and then submit my buy order. Let's see if we get filled there. We should. All right, going back to retest, we're up 1.5%. Yep, I need to look this up to see. So it's called the Fed Rate Monitor tool. And even after today, it's still at 92%. Wow, I thought it would have been a little bit different. And here it goes, nice little pullback. We're gonna go in with another 500 shares. Keeping it light. Okay. Looks like we're still trying to rise on QQQ. There it goes. Ah. Okay. Nice little pullback. Still testing support here at 1862. We're up 0.76%. This was a pre-market resistance that we had here. 30-minute time frame. Looks like we still have that same resistance at $19 a share. I feel like $19 is going to play a pretty big role today if we're able to break through that. So it's beginning to show signs of a support for SQQQ, right? Nice little pullback, beginning to show signs of a support. I want to see indication of an uptrend so I can really begin to step on the gas. But again, as of right now, I'll keep it at the 500 shares. I want to remind you, it's all about position size. When it comes down to SQQQ, I can buy 30,000 shares of SQQQ based off of what I trade with. Me buying 500 shares is a fraction of what I can trade with, right? I see an opportunity because it's pulling on back, and based off of that CPI data report, CPI did come in a little bit higher than what was expected. So again, to me, the forecast and what was factored in already, a higher inflation report was not factored in, or a higher inflation rate. But again, we'll see, right? It doesn't matter what I think. It matters how the markets digest that data. And we'll see if we actually begin to see signs of a steady recovery for SQQQ and a steady drop. I want to see the rest of the market. So we have Apple in the green right now. I believe Apple released one of their new iPhones yesterday. I don't know if it's just me, but I know my iPhone has been overheating like there's no tomorrow. That might just be me, but you guys let me know. My iPhone, all of a sudden, about 1 week ago, just started to overheat anytime I use it a little bit too long. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, right? All right, we are testing. So it looks like it's trying to recover. Everything trying to recover. We got Tesla still up in the green. Okay, so if it's okay with you guys, I thought that I would dedicate some time to I wanted to see how the market was going to react to this CPI data report, and it looks like as of right now, it's still showing some selling pressure for SQQQ, so some buying pressure. We're pretty much at that break-even point for SQQQ and for the NASDAQ market. If it's okay with you guys, again, I thought that I could break down the actual CPI data report line item by line item, just so you guys can have a better understanding on how to read this if you do not know how already. Is that cool? Can we get a thumbs up for that? Can we get a thumbs up? All right, beginning to show signs of a support here. I'm just going to be adding. I just want to make sure that I could take my trades and break down the CPI data report, right? Okay. All right, let's do it. So again, where do you find this report for the CPI data report? It is again at bls.gov/CPI. Once you get to this actual page of this actual report, right, it explains to you what the CPI is. It has, again, a breakdown of the previous and most recent CPI data report, right? And then you can just click on the PDF or the HTML. I'll see if the PDF is available. Sometimes it's not right after it's released. Okay, so September 13th, it is available, right? We could see that all items have increased 3.7% before seasonal adjustment. So that means that the CPI came in at 3.7%. We have overall core CPI that also saw an increase, right? So those are all items less food and energy. And it should be able to show us that. So let me just double check. Yeah, we have overall core CPI that actually saw a drop. So core CPI actually dropped to, what is that, 4.2%? So where's that going to put us at? So 4.3% over the last 4 years. The last year. And the way that this thing is broken down, remember, we saw an increase for the month of August. We take away the previous month of August, and then the last 12 months are calculated, right? When it comes down to calculating the CPI data report, there's an actual formula behind it, right? And that is just for the previous 12 months. As you can see here, they show you a total of 13 months. But the reason they show you 13 months is because they are showing you the month that they are removing, which is the month of August of 2022. And then they're adding the month of August of 2023. So again, just a little heads up on that. Added the new month, removed the old month, and then that formula is calculated, right? So we were previously at 3.2%, and then now we jumped up to 3.7% before seasonal adjustment. We could see all items, right, in the month of August. What saw the biggest increase? What saw the biggest decrease, right? I'll go ahead and zoom in, right? This was a suggestion from yesterday's video. I never really zoom into these things, and I do apologize for that. It's just a bad habit because I could see it, but I know some of you guys watch it. So I know some of you guys watch it on your iPhone, so it might be a little bit harder to see. But the big focus for this CPI data report was the energy sector. It was known that energy was going to come in a lot higher, as you guys have seen, right? Fuel, oil, and gas has been significantly more expensive in the month of August than it was in the prior months. So this wasn't so much of a surprise, right? But you guys could see it's super simple to read this. You guys could ignore all of these other months: February, March, April, May, June, July. These are all previous reportings, right? These are all previous CPI data reports. Now we are calculating the month of August. And pretty much the way that this is calculated is that we look at this line item, food, and then they ask the simple question: did food for consumers go up or down in the month of August? And we could see food went up 0.2%. And then the next line item, food at home, 0.2%. And then food away from home, we saw an increase of 0.3%. And then we have energy, saw an increase of 5.6%. Energy commodities saw an increase of 10.5%. So a very significant jump, right? That's going to be the biggest contributor to the CPI data report. And although it's unfortunate for the month of August, remember, if then gas, or if these line items, so when they ask you, no one's going to ask you this, but if they do, right? You're like, okay, well, what'd you learn today about the CPI data report? Well, I learned that for consumers, energy commodities and gasoline of all types saw the biggest increase in inflation for the month of August, right? 10.5 and 10.6. And then we have fuel oil that saw an increase of 9.1. This alone of 10.5, 10.6, 9.1 is significant that it pretty much, this is where overall CPI is calculated, that it plays a huge role on why we saw such a big jump from 3.2 to 3.7% inflation. And it looks like we are indicating more signs of an uptrend. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to my position on SQQQ. Again, just because I decide to add more does not mean that you need to. Again, this is a decision that I'm making. Please do not copy my trades. Okay. And then now the last item, all items less food and energy. This is what is considered core CPI, right? We have, what is that called? Commodities. We saw a decrease, right? A decrease of 0.1%. New vehicles, we saw an increase of 0.3%. Used vehicles, we saw a decrease of 1.2%. So if they ask you the question, what saw the biggest decrease in the month of August for this inflation report? You could answer confidently, well, based off of the report that I read in the month of August, it was used cars and trucks that saw the biggest drop in inflation, and that was 1.2%. It's good to know, right? And this has been a consistent pattern, right? We saw big jumps, and then we've been seeing steady declines for used car prices. And for consumers, this is valuable information, because if you see that in these reports, used car prices are going down, then again, maybe you or someone you know, right, might be in the market for a used car, right? And knowing that they've been dropping is something that might be useful. At the end of it, again, it's just more of how this report is released. But then again, apparel saw an increase of 0.2%. We have medical care commodities saw an increase of 0.6%. We have services, less energy services, saw an increase of 0.4%. We have shelter, saw an increase of 0.3%. We have transportation services. Note this. Transportation services saw an increase of 2%, right? 2.0. Do you see how this has one of the biggest jumps than anything else? But transportation services has a lot to do with fuel oil, right? And gasoline. So therefore, if gasoline continues to go up, this is a correlation that we saw that with transportation services, we're also going to see the prices go up, because it's going to be more expensive, because transportation services then therefore have to charge more, right? So you understand that correlation? That makes sense, right? It'd be weird if gasoline prices begin to go up, but transportation services stay the same. Then that means transportation services are making less money because they're charging less, but their costs are going up. Do you understand how that could be valuable, right? Medical care services saw an increase of 0.1%. And again, if you want to read a little bit more into it on the actual details of, the food, the energy, shelter, how this is all calculated, then again, you could look into this for the, breakdown of the 3.7%, which is what the CPI data report came in at. But that is, again, a very simple breakdown. If you want to learn a little bit more, again, they have a brief explanation of the CPI. You can read this. But how did we do with that? Did that make sense? Was it easy to understand now that we broke it down? Right? It's not a very complicated report. It looks overwhelming because it has obviously, a lot of text. It has these charts. It has all these different data points. I know this looks very, very overwhelming, but at the end of it, remember, just like anything, your phone is very overwhelming, right? But at the end of it, it comes down to after you use it time and time again, it becomes second nature when you want to send a text. You know exactly how to do so. So as you become familiar with the different areas of where certain things are placed, you become more familiar and more comfortable in actually reading these reports by yourself. And that's always the goal for my videos and for our LPP team, right? My goal is always to encourage our beginner viewer to not try to copy what it is that I'm doing, or not try to be told what to do, but to really understand how to do it on your own. At the end of the day, you don't want to be dependent on me. You don't want to be dependent on someone else. So that is why when I break down the CPI data report, I like to give you the website. I like to give you the significance of the report and how to read the report. So obviously, I appreciate you guys taking time and being a part of the YouTube channel, but we all know that the goal is always to be self-sufficient. So I really hope that this video just gets you one step closer to your overall goal and being a self-sufficient trader that doesn't have to depend on someone else. So I also hope that you consider dropping a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. So we're waiting to see if a nice little setup begins to form for SQQQ. As of right now, it looks a little bit slower. I do want to let you guys know that I do trade live every morning at 6:30 a.m. Arizona time. So that means in about 40 minutes, I will be hosting a private live stream only for our LPP team. You do not have to join, but if you've been waiting for the biggest discount, it's not going to get better than this. It's $175 off. It's the second link in the description down below. I'm sure we have a handful of LPP traders here in the live chat, so you can feel free to ask them. But again, it's a one-time payment, lifetime access. It's the only group that I work with on a closer basis, and I get to watch me trade live. You also get access to the A to Z video lesson library that's designed for complete beginners. And remember, you pay once, you get the discount today. It's the second link down below, and you have lifetime access. You can watch me trade live as soon as today. The how to access the live trading once you sign up for LPP 2.0 within the first 3 videos. They're very short videos. They break down how to access the Discord and how to watch me trade live. And you have about 40 minutes to do so, right? So if you want to tune on in to today's live trading session, second link in the description down below, and make sure you get set up. If you have any questions either before joining, or if you have questions on how to get access to that Discord, then shoot me a direct message via Instagram or via Discord, which is all linked in the description down below. So, all right. Looks like NASDAQ is still trying to consolidate. We're still slightly in the red, but nothing too significant. Let me know in the live chat. What do you guys think? I mean, in comparison to other CPI data reports, I would have to say that this one is a little bit more on the slower side, but also market has not opened just yet. And we can see quick changes of direction right at market open, because remember, the report is released. But once the market opens, this is why I always say, allow the market. And this is why my position size is still pretty light on SQQQ, because I know that the market can change on a dime. It can make sense of however it wants to for this CPI data report. And although it came in higher than what was expected, the market can be like, okay, well, it's still not that bad. And core CPI did drop. And a big focus for the Federal Reserve is core CPI, right? Because they can't control all items, including food and energy. And as you guys saw, items that were food and energy were the ones that were the biggest contributor on why inflation went up to 3.7%. So again, just something to take into consideration before making assumptions that no, the NASDAQ market has to sell off. I mean, I see potential in it, and that's why I took a light position on SQQQ, but it's not certain, right? And this is why it's so important to pay attention to direction and to really allow the market to decide which way it's going to choose to go today, and then just to go with the flow, right? If you fight the market, it's a very just long day. If you flow with the market, it's like you're just dancing with it, right? Take your money and leave. It's that simple. So I'm expecting all-time highs soon. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So I'm not the one that said I'm expecting all-time highs soon. It's someone in the, what's it called, in the live chat. So, but remember, I mean, your opinion, my opinion, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what you're expecting. It doesn't matter what I'm expecting. It's how the markets digest that data, right? Green market on bad news. It goes hand in hand, right? It's not necessarily that today was bad news for core CPI, and I think that's going to be the big headline. I think for a lot of news outlets, it's if you really pay attention to what was reported today. Core CPI is the only thing that the Federal Reserve can control. So based off of core CPI coming in lower than last month, that's good, right? We're still nowhere close to that 2% target that the Federal Reserve has, but it's not bad. Will you be updating about your SQQ position in the trade section before? Yeah, if I add more to it and I close out this stream. So I'm going to be here for another 7 minutes on this stream, and then I'm going to close it out. And then at 6:25, which is about 5 minutes before the market opens, then I will host the private live stream for LPP. Okay. Core CPI is all that matters. We'll see, right? We will see. Excited for the end result of the M4 build and the giveaway. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, we're pumped to start that giveaway. And again, that's going to be on the 1st of October is when we're set to start. So I hope that you guys are excited for that. Okay. What do you think when market opens? Will there be an immediate reaction for direction? I don't know, right? I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not here to try to predict. We're just going to wait. Keep it simple. We're going to wait for direction to be more clear, and then I will make adjustments accordingly, right? There's no reason. You can try to predict. I can try to predict. It means absolutely nothing. Anyone can say, oh, I think it's going to do this because of this. Guess what? Your opinion doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. It's why overcomplicate it with that? Why think that we can influence the market like that? We can't. So let's remove those egos, right? And just allow the market to lead. I feel like that's the best way to do so. All right. Price action. So what indicator best reflects confirmation? Price action. That's all. So when it comes down to EMA or when it comes down to moving average, yeah, I like to use those depending on the time frame. But at the end of it, the most important thing that I pay attention to is price action. As of right now, NASDAQ is indicating signs of an uptrend. We're going back to retest previous highs. All right, you're going back to retest. We got TQQQ up. What is that? 0.22%. So a really nice test here, testing that same resistance. We got SQQQ down about 0.22, 0.16%. So again, we are testing these pre-market support and resistance levels. Ricky, why don't you trade SOXS? It's a semiconductor ETF. If that's what you want to trade, again, all power to you. I don't care what you trade. You shouldn't care what I trade, right? If I see value in the pairs that I trade with SQQQ and TQQQ, then so be it. It shouldn't influence you or bother you in any way, right? I can care less what you trade. So are you sleepy? Yeah, I mean, it's 5 in the morning, right? But I did a good job going to sleep a little bit earlier. So I'm fine. Here we go. I'm just going to add, again, 1,000 shares. Keep it light, keep it tight. There's no reason to overcomplicate it. I like to put my buy order a little bit higher. It still fills me at wherever the bid and the ask is, but just to ensure that I get filled. So buying 1,000 shares. It's 8 a.m. here. Yeah, I know everyone out there in the East Coast, pretty jealous that you guys get to sleep in, but in comparison to the timeline in Hawaii, right? Hawaii, it's probably what, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, something like that. So, but yeah, people on the East Coast have it pretty good. Not gonna lie. When it comes down to this, but then by 9 o'clock, I'm already pretty much done with most of my trading, and it's a good start to the day, right? So I would say that's the biggest difference. 2 p.m. here in the UK. I like that. Okay, we are testing support. We still don't have confirmation of this thing pulling on back, and we are hitting this 30-minute timeline here for the CPI data report live stream. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope to see you guys for our LPP live trading session. I want to remind you that is the second link in the description down below. It should be a lot of fun to see the market, digest the data that was released today for this inflation report, and hopefully we can work towards taking a couple of good trades, right? So as of right now, just to quickly recap, we are testing this same resistance level for QQQ right around 33.50. We'll see if we begin to show signs of progress on the downside. If we continue to consolidate, then again, direction therefore is unclear. I'm probably going to want to be very careful with my position size and leaving any position open, right? The biggest thing is if there's lack of progress or lack of direction, then any open position is a position that's open to risk. But again, that's something that we can talk a little bit more during today's LPP live trading session. And again, that is the second link in the description down below. If you have any questions before joining, shoot me a direct message right now via Instagram, and that is the third link in the description down below. I appreciate your time. I hope that it earned your thumbs up. I actually don't even know how many likes we got on this video, but regardless of what it was, we got 522 likes. So appreciate you guys dropping a thumbs up. I hope to see you guys on the next one. The PPI report is released tomorrow, which is the producer price index report, which is inflation on the producing side of things. So just make sure that you are aware of that, but we'll talk about that in today's later video. Appreciate your time. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it